Howdy out there, folks. Today we're going to take a quick look at this combo pack, so to speak, of the 4K Steelbook release of Body Double, the movie that really launched Melanie Griffith's career, and MaXXXine, the third film in the Ty West trilogy that includes XXX and Pearl. I really do feel like these go well together. They definitely share similar DNA, and I can't help but think that Ty West was definitely inspired by Brian De Palma's Body Double when he made MaXXXine. So firstly, 1984's Body Double. This is a movie that got a lot of flack for being just tawdry and sleazy and sort of almost beneath Brian. But I would argue that he has always been that way. He's a pretty salacious filmmaker, and if you don't like that, then fine, don't watch it. But if you go back and watch Dressed to Kill, if you watch Scarface, he's got a pretty convincing track record as a director who is not afraid to push boundaries, and this was certainly no exception. The other thing that's really interesting about this is that really there were no stars in this film. It came out in '84, and he had already done Carrie and Blowout and Dressed to Kill, and certainly he could have probably cast bigger name leads in the film. Craig Wasson, really no one had ever heard of, and I don't know that they've heard from him since. I mean, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and he's a fine actor. I mean, I think he does a good job, but I think what's really most notable about this film is just how incredibly effective it is at garnering tension and suspense in a way that is clearly an homage to Hitchcock's Vertigo and Rear Window, kind of a combination of the two. And I certainly think that this 4K Blu-ray release just gives it the requisite TLC that one would expect for a Brian De Palma release. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's one of those unsung directors that doesn't get named in the same breath as Spielberg and some of the others of his time. They all hung out with one another. They all knew each other. And I personally, De Palma is one of the best. He's not made anything that's, on the level of like a Jaws, but I think he's made some really good films and certainly deserving of the kudos that he has received. And I think that the detractors are really just not seeing the big picture, or it's just not their bag. And if that's the case, I totally understand. So definitely recommend Body Double, and in particular this 4K release just looks and sounds great, and it has some really nice supplemental features that aren't thin. I mean, this is a pretty decent special feature package on this disc as well. And then we've got Ty West's MaXXXine, which of course was a film that I think perhaps may have been seen as a little bit of a disappointment after XXX and Pearl, but I would argue it's probably the most enjoyable of the three films to watch. I think it's a great film. Does it have a little bit of a letdown in the third act? Yes. I'm not sure that ending totally works, but I think in terms of the mood of the film and just the journey that you go on and some of the really effective set pieces, I think it's a very good watch. I don't think it's going to be considered an all-time classic like Body Double, but I think it's a very good effort by Mr. West, and a film that definitely is worth seeing, and I think owning on Blu-ray. So this one, of course, has a little lighter supplements, but I think the PQ and AQ are great. And what I loved about MaXXXine was just how good the soundtrack was. They really, Ty West and his production team went with some deeper cuts and definitely some more mood-based songs. In particular, the scene where she goes to the bar and Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Two Tribes is playing. I thought that was a clear homage to the Relax song from Body Double. But again, I really enjoyed this film. I give it a solid B. I think that Pearl and XXX are all, the three together are very good films. But again, I think that MaXXXine is probably the most enjoyable of the three to watch. And it's definitely more heavily oriented towards suspense and thriller as opposed to horror. So there you have it. my twofer review of two, I think, very good films. One being arguably an all-time classic in Body Double. So on that note, I'll just leave it at that, but I do hope everyone out there as well, please stay safe, be kind, and by all means, please keep watching good cinema. Take care.